ISRO has crossed 10,000 crores. That is 13,700 crores in the recent budget. And this budget is not sufficient because US, NASA, now here you have to talk. NASA is having 40 billion US dollars, of which 23 billion is spent by NASA. That is the total space US has sanctioned is for 40 billion and 23 billion. Where is 23 billion and 13,700 crores? It is just a million, hardly 150 plus million. Now, when I was talking you about that dimension, you should talk about this dimension. Bring NASA and tell what is the spending which they are doing. Okay. Then in this process, the government of India has established NSIL, InSpace, and Indian Space Association over a period of time from 2019 to 2021. That means the government was having the intention of privatization, isn't it? So here you are connecting what is the need and what are the arguments for the private sector. So the example, the reason why I have taken is you have to bring all dimensions to the next step, comparing our Indian perspective. And also you should also talk that what are the startups. Startups are 100 plus startups, and some people are telling 400 startups, but taking 300 as startups, that's what PIB is talking about. 100 plus startups of the space sector, they are involved in space junk. So how India can become a pioneer in space junk? So if you don't know that the startups are there, which are working in your private sector already, then you can't talk about this space junk. So India can be a leader in the space junk. So this is one example. How you have to bring different thoughts in a sequential and coherent manner so that your answer is a better answer than this. Now, what is the time period? You will be writing answer for your 10 minutes, right? The moment your watch is crossing 10, you have to conclude immediately. Okay. Now, for this, the speed of writing is important. You have to analyze. He has asked around 200 words. So you have to analyze what is my speed of writing. 18 words per minute, 20 words per minute, 25 words per minute. If it is 25, then in exam hall, you will be writing 22 words. If it is 20, in exam hall, you will be writing 17 words. If it is 20, you will be writing 18. If it is 18, then you will be writing 15 words. So while you're making an answer, don't write a lengthy answer which is of no use because you can't represent, right? So as I told you, there will be 12 questions which you know. The reason, now you may ask, sir, we are having 15 questions to answer and you are saying to conclude it by 10th minute, whereas we are having 12 minutes. Now the problem is in SNT paper, sometimes you may have A and B if you have seen old papers. So that A and B also eats up 125 words, 125 words. That means instead of 200, you have to write 250 there to get the 5 marks. Okay. Here, the quality along with quantity is important. So always try to write 200 words for your, that is the minimum you have to write, around 200 words. That's what the requisite which they have given. Okay, 200 words and 1000 words for your essay. Okay. So what is your speed? Depending on the speed, this you have to practice, and this speed not at the cost of your legible handwriting. I know many friends who have gone to interview, but because of in the pace, in the last answer, then the pen goes fast, isn't it? That happens with everyone. Okay, so here again it will be like IVC script, and even we can't decipher if we see after 1 month. Okay, we don't know. isn't it? So now imagine when we can't understand our script, now what is the situation for the person who is evaluating your paper? So you should be taking care of your legible handwriting. I'm not saying you to write, curly and all this stuff. It should be legible. Okay. So these are all the intricacies when you're talking about your answer writing skills, right from your content, your answer writing skills, your presentation, coherence, sequence. Okay. Then how you are connecting your sentences and you're connecting your paragraphs, and how you are writing with brevity, that is your conciseness. And also the most important is your objectivity. And when you are writing something, don't throw venom in the paper, right? Don't vomit venom in the paper. Like you might be a hardcore Telangana person, okay? He might have asked you, what are this so and so? Anyways, your paper 6 is everything about Telangana, and especially your section 3, it talks about all the political parties. What is the stand of BJP? What is the stand of Congress? What is the stand of, and all this stuff. Now there comes your personality. Now you will throw venom. All these people, they have done. That is your objectivity. You should be neutral. The quality of the civil servant is neutrality. Okay. So you shouldn't be carried away with the situation. Right? So no matter we say this, but still we have our own limitations. Okay. The limitations can be exploited in the form of the answer writing. How? When you are writing your history answer, tell to the person who is evaluating that I belong to history. How are you going to tell him? Through your answer. Okay, your answer is your representative on your behalf to bargain, or to command, or to demand, or to beg the marks. At the end, what we want is marks. That's it. So now how is that your answer is going to, get these marks on your behalf? Now you connect to him, like we all know. We have some prejudices, no matter we say that we don't have. We talk about regional feeling. We have regional feeling. We have some form of some feelings, right? Religion, caste, region, nationality, and all this stuff, right? So the other side, the positive side for us is tell him that I belong to your stream, history. Give me more marks. So don't write your history answer in English. Okay. I'm not saying to write in Telugu. I'm saying don't write in English. Every subject is having its own jargon of words. And every subject is having its own scholars. Write those people's name. For example, when you're talking of Shivaji, you should write about whom? Whom? Who is a historian? So learn the names of the historians and try to write their names whenever there is a need in your answer. So you're telling him, like, I belong to your clan, I belong to your tribe. Connect. Okay. So your answer should connect to him, saying that, give me one extra mark. Now imagine you're having 2 tickets. Okay. Now there is one person who is a Telugu guy, other is a Hindi guy. No matter, the Hindi guy was standing, asking you, begging you, please give me. Then you're waiting for your friend. Finally, your friend says, sorry, I'm unable to turn to the movie. Then immediately Telugu guy comes, Anna ticket unda. Now, will you give it to Hindi guy or a Telugu guy? To whom? Naturally. And that too, if he says he is from Hyderabad and you belong to Holy Land of Ashok Nagar, and he also belongs to the Holy Land of Ashok Nagar. And imagine if he connects with you with UPSC, Anna Vajivham Institute, Anna. Oh, same. Then exactly, he is also a human. Try to connect him in each and every subject with its own jargon of words. These are the intricacies which we have known, which we have learned over a period of time. So don't write in a flat English. History is having its own jargon of words. Polity is having its own jargon of words. Society is having its own jargon of words. Like, for example, you can use the word of glass ceiling. Okay, right? Where there is discrimination, right? For example, when you're writing about the inequality, that is gender inequality or gender discrimination, especially at workplace, then you can talk about you can use the word glass ceiling. That out of 43% of women who are educated in STEM areas, only 18% are working as a research in the research sector. Right. So there you can use the word that is glass ceiling. Glass ceiling is a metaphor which is used when, yes, that there is a shield, unseen shield, right? So that is how you have to connect. So there are keywords for each and every subject. The language, there is a language of the subject. That is what I want to drive. There is a language of the subject. Pick that language. Once you are picking that language of the subject, then you will connect to the evaluator. And then he will fall in line with you, and the other person will be given 666 and you will be given 7777. So connecting with the language of the subject. For each and every subject, that is the basic thumb rule which you have to follow. Not just, write about in English. Okay. Whether it says science. Okay. So imagine if you are writing SND, you are especially section 2 of your SND. You are drawing your diagrams and there is a language, right? For example, your so-called vaccinations, isn't it? So there are some keywords. Now, how do you pick these keywords? Over a period of time, if you are having a habit of reading newspaper and making notes, you can pick this one. Even if you are having a habit of reading newspapers, then you can pick. Or even now from today also, you can, whenever you are reading some article, okay, normally our Hindu paper, most of the articles we have from polity related. Hardly we have SNT on that Thursday. And some people, they write at some point of time, if it is important. So you can easily pick the political jargon of the particular subject. But this is one. Now, so we have been talking about this answer writing part. I have talked about your so-called, I started with content, then I told about the answer writing skills and how all these skills should be comprehended, and you should make sure that it should be implemented in each and every answer. So answer writing is a craftsmanship, how you are going to craft an answer. And this crafting should be done not in the exam hall. This crafting should be done before. So there is a saying, of course the saying is in war, but for nativity to our exam, you sweat more before exam to bleed less in exam. You sweat more before exam to bleed less in exam. Okay, so that you can come out writing 15 answers, right? So this is also another important. And I'm an example. I'm standing before you. In 2008, I have missed my job with 2 marks. And in 2010, I missed with 493.88 was the marks which I have got, and 494 was the cutoff. What is the 0.12 marks? And imagine I have attempted only 120 for SNT. Though I got 96 at the cost, sometimes what happens is we get carried away. When we see the known answers, what we try to do, we try to show spend more time on those answers. So don't do that thing. Okay. So we have these tendencies. So that's the reason I have told you, once your clock is hitting 10th minute, immediately wherever you are, you have to conclude with all the keywords which are left with you. Comma, 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 all keywords. Conclude there within 3 lines. So by 10.5 minutes, you should be out of that question, and by 11th minute, you should enter the another question. So I told you, when many people say that we have 12 minutes to write 15 answers, So I disagree with those people. The reason being, simple reason, in SNT, for example, you have seen one paper, there were 30 questions. Way back, if you just go through your 2010 question papers of first while APPSC and 2011 notification, okay, there were not less than 30 questions of in this AB. Okay, so here you can't manage if you are having a practice of writing 12 minutes, using 12 minutes. So this will be a difficult part of managing your SNT questions in if there are 30 questions. Okay, we don't know. Look, if the examiner is saying okay, there will be 15 questions, that doesn't mean that we will not give 15A and 15B. It's just the division of marks, 5 and 5, right? Imagine if it is 15A, 1 and 2, 2.5, 2.5. This is also, you can see this model also, if you have seen your previous year's question papers. The basic thing for any competitive examination when we prepare is, this is your syllabus and this is your previous year's questions. Okay, if you see here, you will be having some idea of erstwhile APPSC. Now, Tspsc. When Tspsc now is in the transition to reach UPSC, now you have to see the previous year's questions of 2010 to, especially 2005 to 2010, and mostly post 2013 to 2020 at least. Don't expect a straight question. The first part will be straight. The second part will not be straight. Right? For example, you all know about Quit India movement, right? Now, in the summer of 1942, Gandhiji was in a strange and violent mood. Comment. So what UPSC does? UPSC wants you to think in the examination and write. Exactly, you will be having the same pattern. You have to think. Don't expect straight questions. Jainism, Buddhism, contribution of Jainism to Buddhism, Buddhism to Indian culture. Maurya. Now try to link Ashoka's Dhamma with Buddhism. What is the differences? What are the differences? And we are talking about especially Ashoka's Dhamma in comparison with Buddhism, then you should mention about Romila Thapar, because she has given an extensive argument supporting that both Ashoka's Dhamma is totally different from Buddhism. Because Ashoka, whatever he used to do, he used to tell to the people through his inscriptions. He never said that both are same. So Romila Thapar has given a beautiful conclusion on it. So you have to use and you have to write. So try to interconnect your syllabus. You have Maurya, you have Buddhism. So Ashoka's Dhamma with Buddhism. Ashoka's Dhamma is similar to Buddhism. Comment. Do you agree that Ashoka's Dhamma is similar to Buddhism? Yes, there are some similarities and there are also differences. So this is what you are going to expect. Okay. So your question paper will be from moderate to difficulty, not from easy to moderate. Now, where do you stand and how much you have to work and all this stuff. Okay, so this is what the homework you have to do. You have to see from 2013 to 2020 and see the UPSC questions, how they are framed. Isn't it? So just now I told you about the question that in the summer of 1942, Gandhiji was in a strange and violent mood. Comment. Why this man who was talking about peace, Satyagraha, who has withdrawn even NCM just for one incident, later on blames the Viceroy that if there is bleeding which is happening on the streets of India, then I am not responsible and it is you, the Viceroy, who is responsible. What is the change? And who has given this statement? Mr. Sumit Sarkar has given this statement. So, You have to write that Mr. Sumit Sarkar has given this statement. You know, whenever there is a transition phase in a public service commission, for example, when I was giving the standard of UPSC questions or tough questions in your prelims, then many people, our own students, they used to come and argue, sir, why is that you are having a tinge of UPSC, so you are giving? State PSC is not that way. See, X Institute and Y Institute, how their papers are. When we are doing those papers, we are getting 120s and 130s, and we are having one Telegram group of aspirants. Join that group and you can see the old question papers which we have posted, prelims. So you will see that the so-called our question papers were on par with your Tspsc. If you have, even now you can check because they are posted in old dates. Okay, and also join that group because I'll be posting few questions and links for your current affairs which are related to your this one. For example, anti-defection law is in news because the Goa party, the Congress party, it has assembly joined totally, seeing the loophole of this 2/3 majority joining. And again, in anti-defection law, there is one unique concept which has evolved in Madhya Pradesh and also in Karnataka, where the MLA is bypassing this not just by taking 2/3 majority, but he is resigning to the party and then getting elected on the ticket of the other party, where there is no role of a speaker. And the same thing is your hate speech versus fundamental right. So now connect your syllabus to the current affairs. If you are not connecting, and if you are still thinking, okay, prelims was different, probably this mains will not be then you have to wait again for probably another 5-year plan. Again, for 5 years, you should wait. And this is a huge opportunity for you. 500 jobs, 500 plus is not an easy thing. And that too, group 1, even if you are going to getting an RDO, you will be becoming a Jesse within 7 to 8 years. Okay, and if you are getting this at the age of below 25, then you will be reaching to the rank of even high. Right. Okay. So this is what the answer and all this. Now many people they talk, what is good answer? My simple answer to this is, what is good answer? Some people have this passion. I have to write good answer, good answer, good answer. And he will never write an answer. And he will be searching, it should be good. First, you should write to know, right? So, what is a good answer? The answer which you get more marks. Now, that answer which satisfies the demand of the question. Demand of the question. What is the question? For example, just now I have told you, in the summer of 1942, Gandhiji was in a strange and violent mood, comment. Now, in this, if I write about Quit India movement, yes, Quit India movement we mentioned, but that doesn't mean that you should write how Gandhiji has transformed to this violent mood. What was the ground level situation? He was fed up, right? He was fed up. That's the reason why the Mahatma was talking about do or die. Huh? And he took a self-blame for a small Chavichava incident, and here he is writing a letter to a viceroy from a jail, that from the prison, that he is not responsible, and the viceroy is responsible for the so-called all the riots which were happening at that point of time. So what is the demand of the question? You have to spend at least demand of the question. Okay, then you underline the keywords. What is that I have to satisfy? Okay, what is the directive given? Is it discuss? Is it examine? Is it enumerate? Is it elaborate? Is it critically examine? Is it throw a light or throw light? What is the directive? Enumerate is nothing but you have to mention the points. That's it. So, what is the directive? And how you are going to how this directive is linked to the question and what are the keywords of the question and how you have to satisfy. So normally what happens is sometimes even you might have done this in your, it happens in even your prelims examination also. The moment you see the question, you are so happy that this is a known question for you, and rather than reading it completely, you go and you jump to the conclusion for, I mean, you just tick an answer and then later on you will, oh, this fellow has asked incorrect, whereas I have put a correct. So you miss that in. Exactly. Here also, what you have to do is, you have to read the question, okay? While brainstorming, again read the question, underline it, again read the question. So your question should be seen and read by you at least 3 times. At least 3 times. What is the directive given? What is the demand of the question? Then comes, right? For a question like, I told you, Indian Constitution is a bag of borrowings is just a myth. You just write what are the sources of the Constitution and you've come, I have written this very well. The other part of the question was myth. That means you have to tell that it was a myth. Okay. So we have taken secularism, we have taken affirmative action, we have talked about minorities, right? There are safeguards for minorities. So Indian Constitution is unique. So you have to substantiate yourself. So see how many parts are there in the question. How many parts? Because depending on the parts, the examiner will divide the question while he gives. He will divide 5 marks, 3 marks, 4 marks, 3 marks. This is another area where you know the content, you know the directives, you know everything. You have read question twice and thrice, but you are busy in satisfying this one. And by the time you came here, you have completed 10 minutes and you will write only 2 to 3 lines, then again 12 minutes. You will feel tension. Once you get tense, again you write conclusion. Okay, someone told that, okay, we should conclude by 10 minutes. Now it's already 14 minutes. Now what you have done? You are going to get 3 marks here. And for this, he will give you 1 mark. And for this, he will give you half. See how many parts are there in the question. So reading question 3 times is one. Secondly, how many parts are there in the question? So that you can justify, do the need, satisfy the need of the question. That is nothing but you are understanding the question. Understanding question is having the implicit of writing a satisfied answer to the given question. It's not just you are understanding the question. What is how you are going to satisfy? Isn't it? For example, imagine there is one question on Chandrayaan. Okay. The government is taking initiative for Chandrayaan 3. So imagine he's asked about Chandrayaan 3 and he has also asked, okay, what are the experiences which ISRO has gained with its previous satellites of this same Chandrayaan 1 and 2. Okay. Now you have much fodder on Chandrayaan 3. So you will be trying to satisfy there. Okay. So it's better to get 6 to 7 marks instead of 8 by wasting time and not attempting the last 3 questions or 2 questions where you could have got 5. So here it is +1, here it is -5. And I'm standing here before you because of this. If I would have done justice to the 150 questions, I would not been here in 2010 notification of APPs. 493.88, 494. So even if for 120, I got 96. Even I have got those booklets in RTI also. At that point of time, they were giving, but right now, I don't know whether Tspsc is going to give you down the line your answer sheets. Okay, so if I would had attempted those 3 answers, I would have got easily 15 marks. Then, so the value of 1 mark, the value of point, and people who write DSCs, they know the value of the points marks. Normally people with UPSC, if you are having the writing of experience, your prelims, then you know the value of 2 marks, 1 bit. What is the value of 1 bit? Right. In the same way, the value of 1 second. Only Hussein Bolt will tell you what is the value of 1 second. Right? For us, even T is half an hour, right? So, the other important, what is your time management? Your exam is in June, how you are going to manage time? Okay, that's the reason why the test series has come in place. Daily you have 1 unit. Every day you have 1 unit, 75 units, 75 into 5, that is 375 questions. 5 units will be done on a daily basis till Friday. On Saturday you have a break. On Sunday again you have to write your sectional test. All 10 questions are compulsory. There is no option. And this cycle goes on. And once your section 3 is completed, then the section 3 sectional test will be on the Saturday. You don't have a gap there. And on Sunday, you are having again a comprehensive test. Right? My friends are waiting. So already I have taken more time. There are many speakers after me. So any doubts if you are having? Because next time, yeah. Essays, the reason why I have not given any time for timetable for essay is, like for example, June. We will be doing essays on the need base. I have given you 40 essays, that is a minimum, because we want to go with the minimum, and max we will be covering till 50 essays. 40 is minimum, that is a takeaway. So we will be, for example, in case of the first batch, we have done only 15 essays because earlier we were expecting examination in Feb. Now it is in June. So we can wrap those people by all the essays which are in present context, but that will be loss. Look here, we were sitting in that place before standing here. We know the process of this journey. We know how many words we have to write and how to present the answer and what are the difficulties. And please don't change the pen. Don't change the pen, right? Don't change the pen. The reason is, and also try to hold the pen at the top, because if you are holding pen at the top, this movement will be easy and there is no need of lifting pen, your hand like this. Okay, this will save you at least 100 words. Some people have the holding of this pen and they will be writing. Look, the moment you are close to the pen, your movement of this hand is restricted. The moment you just go up, and also the size. What is this size of the pen? Okay. Now it should be medium. And also, what is the font which you are going to write? If you are using big font, this will kill you. So the font which you is something like someone has to use microscope, that's of waste because the examiner will not give you the marks. So what is the font you are going to write? Take a medium font so that it will satisfy the examiner as well as save your time. So right from selection of your pen, okay, do trial and error method, come to the best pen which doesn't at least vomit on the paper, okay, and try to maintain a medium font, because if it is medium font, if you are having a habit of writing very less like this part, okay, then by the end of your 12th answer it will be like this. Okay, so you have to use a medium font, because by the end of, even it is like this, he will know, okay, this is part. From here to here, again it will become a IVC script. So this is, so don't see this examination as a just a, and also you're having the competitors who are veterans who have completed their UPSC interview, I mean attended interviews, written mains, and those people are having the capacity of writing 4,000 words in the same given time period. UPSC gives you 10 questions of 150 words and 10 questions of 250 words. That goes to 4,000 words. Now you are running a race with these people. Now, where is your capacity? Right from your speed. I think you might have attended, you might have discussed about this examination, but I don't know if anyone might have spoken about the speed of writing from here to the exam hall, the pen, the font, and everything at one place. Okay, you might have heard at different places by different people. So these are all the experiences which we have. These are all the experiences how you have to brainstorm an answer. For familiar answers is for partially you are familiar with the topic, but you have to do a brainstorm and you have to write. Okay, it's not just you have to overwrite whatever answer which you know and miss the 3 answers and try to get, and you are focusing on getting that +1 and missing -5 or -4 also. So the aim is to write 7 to get to write a good answer. The good answer is only the answer which is getting you good marks and which is having more keywords, more dimensions. More keywords and more dimensions, right? Yes, anything else? Yes, yes, online and offline. Yes, there are many people online. There are some people. I don't know the number. Yeah, there are around. Yes, it's visible and audible also. Is any queries? Any question regarding any doubts? The exam time is 8 to 9. And another thing, we are going to give you, for unit test, we are going to give you the questions beforehand. For unit test, daily unit test, we will give you the questions beforehand. So one day before we will give you. So you will read and you will come for unit test. When it comes to your sectional test, it is, you have to take the test. So the paper will not be given to you for sectional test and also for comprehensive test. We are going to evaluate sectional test. Unit test, no, for unit test evaluation, we are not evaluating unit test. You have to write your answers and you have to listen to the faculties and you have to evaluate for yourself for unit test. Sectional test, yes, we will be doing evaluation, and for even comprehensive test, we will be doing evaluation and we will be telling you what are the things which you have to change, because a model answer, your classroom and all this is one place, and each person has its own, after evaluating so many scripts for years, so each person has its own, lacunae or deficiencies in answer writing. Okay, I told you at the starting also, the language competence, the grammatical errors and the sentence formation. Okay, people who are coming from Telugu medium, in fact, people who come from Telugu medium, they are also excellent English medium candidates also. That is another, this one. The problem is, like, in Telugu, what you happen is, the noun and pronoun, the first and last, right? So, namavachakamu, sarvanamam. So, all these both, they interchange. Once they interchange, so when the person thinks in Telugu and writes in English, there is a problem. That's the problem of sentence formation. This is what I have seen. And also grammatical errors. Okay. So this you have to take care. Because for TSCVC here is like, it's a net practice for you. And as I told you, for all these 5 papers, you will be having 825 questions. For example, in IVC itself, I will give you 3 questions. Okay, so that doesn't mean that all these, sir has given IVC 3 questions and he is saying 3. It should be 1. No. Each answer is different. So 825 questions. It depends on the faculty. That sometimes there may be a repetition of a question depending on the importance of the topic. Okay, just now I told you that for IVC I will be giving you 3 questions. Okay. Yes. Evening. The explanation class will be mostly from 6 to 8. Every day, 6 to 8, there will be explanation class by the respective faculty, and all the respective faculties will do your so-called, evaluation process. So we are not. We want to see the first hand. I mean, we want to see the performance of. If you're having any friend who has written sectional test of history, I have evaluated. You can see those booklets also. If you are having any friend who has attended our batch 1.
Can online children ask questions?
Yes, ma'am.
So my first question is, after the sectional test, in how many days will you be giving our evaluated answer scripts if you're writing?
By next sectional test.
Okay. So how does this thing work for online children? So how do we send in our answers?
Yeah, you will be given a mail ID and you have to scan your answer and you have to send to the mail, and you will be getting the feedback evaluated script even in the same mail. And also sometimes it may be sent to your WhatsApp number also.
Then my one more doubt is I have not completed more than 50% of this syllabus. And
Pardon?
I am not. I want to join the test series once I complete at least 50% of my syllabus, maybe in March or something. So
Yeah,
this trying to plan any.
No. Look, first thing is, this is another question which I have to address. Normally, some people when they come, look here, practically speaking, if you people would have, given the training, for example, you might have taken somewhere coaching, all you people, you might have taken coaching. If your classroom would have been connected with your exam, then you would not be here. First thing. Second, classroom teaching connected with exam. The second thing is that I will join the test series after completion of this one. So that will never happen. That will never happen because you're having exam in June, and secondly, we are going daily unit wise. So sitting at home when there is a timetable, there is rather than someone monitoring than self-monitoring outside, external monitoring is better than the self-monitoring. So we are going to give you 5 questions. So on each unit, you will be covering 11 questions. 11 questions minimum on each unit. Okay, so in each unit, you'll be having 11 questions. And you have to write 1. Okay, so for each paper, we'll be having 165 questions with model answers given by the faculty. We ourselves, we write our answers. Sometimes I have posted my answers even with my own handwriting rather than typed format also. Only I have done this. Remaining people, they are good and they have given typed. Okay. So my only answer to you is even only IVC, you please write an answer on IVC, because answer writing cannot be developed in a short period or in a short time. The reason is at least you have to write 200 answers to come to a good answer and to know the basic things of a good answer and all. And depending on the subject also, like I told you, each subject is having its own jargon of words, so you should be habituated, you should be accustomed to use those words. So my suggestion to you is you please join test series. Even if you are not joining test series, at least whatever you read for your so-called topic wise, once your topic is done, please write a question and think what is the possible question from the point of view of examiner, and you just write and evaluate with your friend. but don't postpone that. Okay, once my 50% is done, once my 40% is done, once I have a whole hold on the syllabus. So this is a wrong thing. Like, you are not having this exam next year. If you would have asked me this question last year, I would have told you to do that job. Hope I have answered your question.
Yes, sir. But then my doubt is, like, we are given one day for one unit, right? And there are multiple topics under it. So
Yeah, we are giving, that's what I'm
we
telling
study
you.
that in one day?
We will be picking the important topics. We will be giving you 5 questions beforehand. You have to, we will be posting you the questions. You have to read those questions and then you have to write the answers. So those are given to you beforehand itself. One day before, the questions will be posted. You have to prepare and you have to write. Look here, we are conducting a test series. Now we will be dealing with the topics and we will be covering, like, for example, in any unit, I think in few units you have beyond 11 keywords. Only in few units you have beyond 11 keywords. So we will be covering 11 keywords of those respective units. That means you will be having 11 different answers. And depending on the need based, then we may increase 1 or 2 or 3 questions or 4 questions depending on the unit. So on the whole, our program is about 825 question, 825 model answers, which will be given to you. I think 825, anyone who has written UPSC or earlier, even state PSC, remains of 2016 of state, then I think you might not have gone through 825 model answers. Even for UPSC, many people, they don't go to that number, 825 for 5 papers. So even for an option, what max we do is we just pick 100 questions max, or 100 topics. Okay. So here also that's the same thing. So my advice to you is, don't wait. You join or you're not. Don't join, but definitely you practice at home, and answer writing is must.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions from online?
Hello, sir.
Yes.
So one quick question here is, for the daily unit test, as you told, the explanation video will be in the evening every day from
Yes.
6 to 8 p.m. And
Yes.
how about the model answers, sir? Will that be provided at the end
Yes,
of the
yes,
video?
that will be. Look, the people who will be standing here, they will be giving the skeleton of the answer and the keywords of the answer, because that is what you have to use for your revision, and you can't read the whole answer, so you should have bullet words and keywords. So with the bullet words and keywords, what is the demand of the question, the respective faculty will be explaining those questions, and you will be getting a typed PDF. You will be getting a typed PDF by next day of those 5 answers.
By next day. Oh,
Yes.
Okay. This is what I wanted to know. By when? Okay, got it, sir. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, as far as science and technology is concerned, what do you recommend as a source?
The problem is with the, I told you, if you would have asked me for erstwhile Tspsc examination, I would have told you, but I can't say, I can't answer this to you now. But however, you have to follow the government websites, and you have to follow the PIB, and to know what is the important topics. Like PIB has released, each ministry has released its document of 1 year, what are been its achievements. So please go through that document for each and every ministry which is related to your respective subject, so that you will know what are the keywords, what are the areas which government is focusing, so that would be your answers, that would be your questions which might be asked to you.
Okay, sir, got it, sir. Thank you.
Image is stand. Yes. Everything you have to connect. Everything you have to connect. If there is a development in artificial intelligence, for example, PM stack is one thing. PM stack. So you have 9 missions in this. Okay, in that 9 mission, you're having that And nowadays government is talking about artificial intelligence. Even the budget is talking about it. Okay. So already there it is there from banking sector, it has come to all sectors, right? So down the line, even your everything is, these are all interrelated and interconnected topics. So here, for any point of view, for example, even there is Anglo-Maratha, right? In your syllabus, in your unit, then you have to focus on Tipu Sultan, because this gentleman is in news. So you should know what is his administration, and in fact, he is considered as the the first person to have this idea of this launch what is called the satellite, right? So this person he has used those techniques. So what is his administration and all this stuff. So Anglo-Maratha, so since that is in news, so the examiner might be talking talking about Anglo-Mysore. So you can expect this question. Okay, Anglo-Mysore. In that particular 3-4 topics of Anglo-Maratha and all other this one, you can expect this because it is there in the current related. So you have to see this syllabus like, imagine this is the center and this is your nucleus. You keep your current affairs in the nucleus and try to link all the respective subjects, no matter it is a static. For example, if you have seen your 2022 paper, mains paper, the examiner has asked question on your water harvesting. Okay. Then again, the so-called report came in your 2022 after your prelims. Sorry, 2021. Okay, 2021 after your prelims. So the examiner thought that he should ask a question, and he has asked a question on water harvesting on Dholavira in your 2022. So the examiner, he sees the current affairs and he gets a thought ignition for respective question to respective field. So the so-called water harvesting for a economy or for a person who is from agriculture background, that is different to him, and this, for a historian, the same topic current affairs might give some ignition. So you should think from the point of view of the examiner, and you have to, that's what I'm telling you, the demand of this examination in this transition phase, after seeing your prelims paper and you are not having an interview, after following the erstwhile UPSC pattern of making first and second questions compulsory, so he is already giving you a message. Okay? The message is clear. Don't expect the old conventional model answers. Look, writing an answer on what the features of urban planning is different. Critically examine the urban planning is different, because the so-called IVC urban planning is not same at all places. At some places you don't have the so-called grid pattern. At some places you don't have the street lights. At some places you don't have the. So the features, they are not common to all places. So if it is critically examine the features of your IVC, then you should write that all these features were not common to the all places. Isn't it? So it depends on the question. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Don't expect straight questions. Okay, try to see, that's why I told you the linkage between Ashoka's Dhamma and Buddhism. Okay, even you can expect separate questions on art and architecture also, in a comparative perspective between your Gandhara, Amravati and Mathura also. I have a separate question on Amravati art also. Look, you should be prepared for each and everything. What we are trying to do here is, it's just a net practice. So in net practice, probably you are practicing all types of shots, right? And people who are bowling at you might be testing you in your net practice with all. Sometimes there will be some bouncer. So definitely that's what we are trying to tell you, that okay, 10 to 12 questions, yes, you can take out of this 825 questions. At least we can tell from our experience that there will be at least 12 questions where you will be having the fodder to write address those questions. From each paper, we are having 165 questions. So all these 165 questions, the model answers will empower you, will give you the fodder to address those questions. Right? Now, depending on the directive, that's over a period of time, 105 days program. If you ask any of your batch 1 people, then they will say you not even a single day was a break. I didn't, either on Christmas or even, on, January 1st or even for Sankranti also. There was no holiday. So we people, we are working as a team and we have been friends for more than a decade. We have gone through this examination. We know your difficulties and we know what is the standard which is going to come for you. And so we are prepared. We brainstorm, we gel together, and there is a war room type situation sometimes, that this question should be coming and this question should not be coming, or why we have given this question and all this stuff. All this exercise goes at the back and then the question comes to you with the model answer. What? The book list is same what is in the market, that is your Telugu Academy. Okay, apart from that, the respective people who are dealing with these subjects, they will come and they will deal. Okay. Pardon? New survey. Yes, naturally, new survey only. That doesn't make a difference. The exam is in June. You'll be having your survey, economic outlook by March. Indian economic survey also. So see this examination not as a erstwhile APPSC or Tspsc examination. Please see this as a UPSC examination somewhere between 2012 to 2015, post 2013 at least, so that you are ready with the questions. Okay, yeah, my friend, the next speaker will be Sudhir, who has given 7 mains, 3 UPSC interviews. He teaches anthropology at a reputed institute and also teaches economy at many places. I think there is no question from your side, okay, and from even online side. Anyways, it's a long journey of 105 days. You can interact with me. I will be your 1-point interaction in your groups. Along with me will be Sandeep. He is our academic director. This so-called course director, because the academic director is Satyanarayana sir. Okay, right. Yeah. Something has happened here. Okay. Yeah, he has also attended 3 interviews of APPSC also. Yeah, Sudhir, please. Yeah. No, the reason why we have done that is the most dynamic part of the syllabus is SNT, where there is more scope of current related issues. So we are making here so that again we want to do SNT at the fag end with value addition. That's the reason we are taking the first one. We have kept it as a first. Look here, that's what I'm trying to tell you. It is when we were preparing, while me, Sudhir and all the people, when we were preparing the examination, so even now we are doing the same exercise, that we are writing this examination. So how we will be preparing? With our experience and with our knowledge. So that's what we are doing the work. That's the reason why you might have seen you please cross-check our answers. Those answers will be totally different, relevant to the question, and you might see the hard work in the framing of the question and also in the framing of the answer also. Yeah, Sudhir. Yeah. Yes.
Good morning. Am I audible at the back? Whereabouts on the? Okay, fine. So, let us spend some time in understanding essay writing. I hope at least everybody tried writing an essay some point of time in your life, right? When was the last time you attempted an essay? School days. College. Which college you got essay? Intermediate. Degree. You got essay writing. It's a long answers. Any competition. Acha, good. Why essay paper? Why essay paper was introduced in your mains exam? It is to test your knowledge. To test your comprehension skills. To test your answer writing skills and to test how good you argue. These are the reasons why essay paper was introduced. Everybody here is knowledgeable. Everybody. How do you know that? That you are knowledgeable, I am knowledgeable? Because since I think 4 years till, let us consider your age is 21. What are you doing all these years? 4 సంవత్సరాల నుంచి 21 దాకా ఏం చేస్తున్నారు? ఏం చేయట్లే. What is that?
Studying.
Studying. మీ వాయిస్ వినాలనుకున్నా ఫైనల్లీ. You are studying. What do you mean by studying? Starting with LKG till your graduation, every day you are listening few things, learning few things, understanding few things, applying few things. So by 21 years, once you are done with your graduation, there is something called consolidated knowledge, right? So here, whatever knowledge you possess till date, that is a raw material to write a very good essay. What do you mean by testing your comprehension skill? Comprehension skill largely speaks about how good is your English. Most of you might be finding some difficulty in writing a very good sentence in a concise manner. But over a period of time, you can cultivate the habit of writing a relevant content in a concise format in a coherent manner so that examiner understands your knowledge. Let us consider, I got a lot of things in my mind. I know many things. I got very in-depth knowledge about a topic, but my writing skills are poor. What is the probability of getting good marks? Would I get good marks? ఏమ్మా వస్తాయా మంచి మార్కులు? నీ వెనకాల అమ్మాయి వస్తాయా? వస్తాయి. నువ్వు మంచిదనే కాబట్టి అట్లా వేస్తావు మార్కులు. Examiner doesn't do that. Knowledge should be presented in an appropriate manner. What is that appropriate manner? To present content in appropriate manner, you need this comprehension skill. It is about your skill on English language and how much time a candidate requires to master comprehension skill. All of a sudden, within 24 days, you can't improve your comprehension skill, right? It is not like ID instant dosa better. It doesn't happen that way. Therefore, you need to do a particular thing. Practice. And this is the reason why we started this mains test series. I don't know whether you play cricket or at least watch cricket. How many of you play cricket? Every boy? You don't play any game. Which games? Mostly all, including Tokkudu Bella Avi. Okay. In this case, practice is very essential. It is like a launching pad for you to reach heights in your career. Before you write the examination conducted by Tspsc, you need to be ready to the battle, final battle. Therefore, the more you practice, the better you are prepared for the final battle. If you know Virat Kohli, he spends a lot of time in nets, playing some hundreds of balls. Why? If you spend less time in net practice, the moment you go to the real game, when you bat, you don't find it easy to score runs. Likewise, if you attempt a test series, attend test series, write answers regularly, get them evaluated. When we provide model answer, check it, and then it will be improved. It is not an overnight entity which can be improved within 24 hours or within 1 week. It takes time. The more you write, the better you become, and the better your comprehension skills will become. To test answer writing skill. Answer writing skill means not writing whatever you know in whichever format or whichever order you like to write it. There must be coherence in your answer writing. What is coherence? To understand coherence, let us consider a marriage function, a wedding anniversary, dinner or lunch as an example. What is the first thing that is served in any lunch or dinner? Perigamam bedtara first evarana? No. She said very important thing. Water, very good. Then salad, starter, soup, then main course, then dessert, then finally ice cream, then finally pan. Are Hyderabad pan tinukodu etla? What do you mean by this? There is an order for everything. Even your answer writing, there is an order. So content should be presented in an orderly manner. Now, what are the steps in essay writing? The first and foremost important step is choose the topic which is comfortable to you. Second important step is brainstorming. Third one is prioritize and sequencing. Next part is introduction, body, conclusion. These are steps in essay writing. Now, among all the 6 steps, which one is important? Brainstorming. You got 3 sections in essay, right? How many questions will be given? In each section, how many questions will be given? 3 questions. Out of 3, how many you need to write? So that is called picking the question. And most of the students commit this mistake. Let us consider in section 1, first question is on inclusive growth. Second question is on women. Third question is on poverty. Okay. And fortunately, you prepared all the 3. By looking at a question on inclusive growth, you feel very happy and you do this. Yes. And you don't read these questions and you start writing about inclusive growth. Don't do that. Any question, read it twice. 3 times you need to read the question. All the 3 questions. The reason being, among the 3, based on the core demand of the question. If I say women or poverty as a theme, there might be a couple of important words given in the sentence of the question that differs with the content you have prepared, or you may not be comfortable in those dimensions. Examiner is expecting some other content. Therefore, try to understand the question, identify the key words in the question, understand the core demand of the question, then decide whether you got necessary content with you to attempt this question or not. Therefore, read all the questions in a section. Spend a couple of minutes in understanding the question and recollect whether you have got information necessary for to write a very good essay on this. Accordingly, you pick the topic. Don't be hasty in selecting the question in the examination. Most of the students commit this mistake. Don't do that. Then, brainstorming. Brainstorming determines the quality of your content. What do you mean by quality of content? Most of you are familiar with how some people write essay. School మనం ఈ జోక్ వినుంటాం, ఆవు కథ, ఏమి ఇచ్చిన ఆవు కథ రాస్తాడు, ఎందుకని అద్దపేం రాదు. But in brainstorming, the focus should be on thinking deep about the topic. What do you mean by thinking deep about the topic? Let us consider inclusive growth as an example. The moment you look at inclusive growth as a topic, recollect what all you have read in the past about inclusive growth. Say, for example, you have read the definition somewhere given by either Niti Aayog or Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development or World Bank, whatever might be the agency, it has given a definition. Then suddenly the other day, you read something about gender inequality index. And then you come across a program related to increasing female literacy in India. So randomly certain thoughts crop up in your mind, right? Make it a point that you are writing every thought that comes across your mind in the rough space given to you. Whatever content, whatever dimension, whatever thought you get on inclusive growth, just put it on paper, right? Now, this is about brainstorming. We'll do a workout for that. With small exercise, we'll do that. Then, after brainstorming means thinking about a particular topic, about what you have read till date, recollecting every small piece of information related to inclusive growth and writing it down in a phrase or important word manner. Don't write the entire sentence or paragraph. If you want to highlight something called elements of inclusive growth, don't write the entire elements in paragraph format. Let us say poverty reduction, increase in employment, So this is called thought process. So this is one element, this is another element. Likewise, you write a rough sketch of your essay. And this is called brainstorming. Then what is the third part? Prioritize and sequence. What should be prioritizing and sequencing? First and foremost thing, this came up in my mind. So under brainstorming, I have written this as a first point. Okay, in the series of 1, 2, 3, 4, this was the first, this was second, this was the third, this was the fourth thing I have written. Should I write my essay in this manner? Brainstorming చేసేటప్పుడు ఏది గుర్తొస్తుంది ఒకదాని తర్వాత ఒకటి రాశా అట్లే రాయాలనా essay? No. Organize it. How? Definition should come first, right? And then elements should come first, and then indices, and then consequences because of lack of inclusive growth, and then measures taken by the government to achieve inclusive growth, and then stakeholders involved, and then international practices like Bolsa Familia in Brazil, international practices. Likewise, once the brainstorming is done, you got some folder, you have written everything on a piece of paper, then start giving numbering to this. This numbering process is called prioritizing and sequencing. In prioritizing and sequencing, we are just trying to give an order to the points you generated in brainstorming session. Brainstorm చేసేటప్పుడు వాట్ ఎవర్ థాట్స్ దట్ క్రాప్ అప్ ఇన్ యువర్ మైండ్ అవన్నీ పేపర్ మీద రాసాం కదా, దానికి నంబరింగ్ ఇవ్వాలి. ఎందుకని? ఒకదాని తర్వాత ఒకటి కన్సైజ్డ్ గా కోహరెంట్ గా రాయడం కోసం. ఆర్ ఏబుల్ టు అండర్స్టాండ్ దిస్? దిస్ డిటర్మైన్స్ the quality of your essay. Some people make a mistake of doing very good brainstorming, then they miss this step. Therefore, though the content is written in an appropriate manner, though they got many points, but it is not readable to the examiner. Say, మీరు ఒక కథ చదువుతున్నారు, తలాతోక లేకుండా ఫస్ట్ పారాగ్రాఫ్ లో క్లైమాక్స్, సెకండ్ పారాగ్రాఫ్ లో ఒక రొమాంటిక్ ఎపిసోడ్, థర్డ్ పారాగ్రాఫ్ లో ఒక కామెడీ ఎపిసోడ్, లాస్ట్ పారాగ్రాఫ్ లో ఇంట్రడక్షన్ చెప్పాడు అనుకోండి క్యారెక్టర్స్ కి. ఈజ్ దట్ స్టోరీ రీడబుల్? ఈజ్ దట్ రైట్ అప్ రీడబుల్? చిరాకేస్తే చదవడానికి. లైక్ వైజ్ యువర్ ఎస్సే షుడ్ బి లైక్ a very well crafted edited movie. Whenever you watch a movie, there is something called screenplay. What is a screenplay? ఏ సీన్ తర్వాత ఏ సీన్ రావాలి. If there is a jumbling in screenplay, what happens? Cinema hitta fatta, fat, bombs at the box office అంటారు కదా. So your essay will be bombed at the Tspsc evaluation center if you don't follow this prioritizing and sequencing. So choose the topic, brainstorm, and then prioritize and sequence. Finally, write introduction, body, and conclusion. We'll spend some time in these things, but before that, what are the expectations of examiner from you? What is it that examiner is expecting from you? ఏదో వెతుకుతున్నాడు మీ నుంచి, ఏదో అడుగుతున్నాడు, అది ఇవ్వాలి. What is that? Rational and concise presentation. What do you mean by rational? We'll come to that. Concise means అది ఏదో యాడ్ ఉంటుంది, సూటిగా సుత్తి లేకుండా అని. విచ్ యాడ్ తెలియదు, మౌంటైన్ డ్యూ అనుకుంటా, ఇఫ్ ఐఎమ్ నాట్ రాంగ్. Okay, so concise means no beating around the bush. Just stick to the point and elaborate it, and do not take lengthy sentences or a paragraph to express an idea. Some people take a complete page to express one idea. The rule is one idea, only one paragraph. Don't take beyond that. So concise writing means sodi rayakunda sutti rayakunda concise ga just stick to the point. Then credit will be given for precise orderly presentation. This precise orderly presentation is also called as effective presentation. Then you need to stick as close as possible to the topic you've selected. These are the expectations from you by the examiner. If you satisfy these things, if you meet his expectations, if you convince him with good content, good marks. Then some basic suggestions to students as far as writing essay is concerned. First important thing is avoid grammatical mistakes. When I say avoiding grammatical mistake, should you write like Shashi Tharoor? No, which is not possible. Adi both extreme cases avagudadu. Some people start the sentence in past tense. I hope you are familiar with these three tenses: past, present, future, and they end the sentence in future tense. Avoid such kind of writing. Okay, then while evaluating some papers, we found out that if I want to write about British Parliament, students are writing British in this manner. And whenever they're writing about the names of heads of the states, in school, we learned that it should be. These are fundamental grammatical mistakes, avoid them. Apart from this, average answer writing or sentence formation is good enough. Then avoid informal tone in your essay. What do you mean by avoiding informal tone? Whenever you interact or whenever you communicate with your friends informally, we use certain words, right? వాడరా మీరు చాలా ఫార్మల్ గా మాట్లాడతారా? అట్లా కాదు కదా. వాట్ ఈస్ దట్ గో టు వర్డ్ ఫర్ యూ? కొంతమందికి యాక్చువల్లీ అని వస్తుంది. ఏం మాట్లాడినా యాక్చువల్లీ టుడే ద క్లాస్ ఈజ్ వెరీ బోరింగ్, యాక్చువల్లీ ద పేపర్ ఈజ్ వెరీ టఫ్, obviously the paper will be very tough. So avoid such informal tone in answer writing. You are not communicating with your close friend, you are talking to or you are trying to convey a man who is having some 20-30 years of experience in teaching. Your answer scripts will be evaluated by degree lecturers. They got some qualification, knowledge, experience. Give some respect and try to maintain formal tone throughout the answer writing. Okay, then avoid being pessimistic in answer writing. What do you mean by avoiding being pessimistic in answer writing? What is pessimism? What is optimism? Being negative. Some people always carry a bag of mud with them. Brother పట్టుకుని జేబులో తిరుగుతూ ఉంటారు. ఎందుకని? కనిపించోడు కల్లా మూసేయాలి కదా. Such people are very detrimental to themselves. Detrimental అంటే dangerous. వాడి వల్ల వాడికి ఉపయోగం ఉండదు, సొసైటీకి ఉపయోగం ఉండదు, దేశానికి ఉపయోగం ఉండదు. మనలో కూడా కొంతమంది ఉంటారు. ఒక ఎగ్జాంపుల్ చెప్తా. ఒక స్టూడెంట్ ఉన్నాడు. ద క్వశ్చన్ ఈస్, సార్ ఎలా ఆలోచించాలో నాకు ఎలా తెలుస్తుంది? ఎలా తినాలో ఎలా తెలిసింది? అంతే. సో ఇన్ దిస్ కేస్ you should be always writing some optimistic content. The reason being, you're going to be a part of government. And say, for example, somebody, EMI, DSP selected anukondi. There was a phone call that a few groups are fighting with lethal weapons. Amma em cheyalapudu? Ethics paper తీసుకుని చదువుకోవాలా? No. There is a problem, you are supposed to provide a solution as soon as possible. Always in administration and governance, you are pushed into tough challenges. Therefore, your decision making is very important. And your decision making reflects a thought process. Thought process depends on knowledge available. Therefore, if you write pessimistic content, examiner will understand that this candidate is not suitable for a government job. Come. So avoid pessimistic writing. And some people, they criticize very much. Do not criticize, but you can be critical. What do you mean by being critical? Being critical means I say there is a flaw in your dress. ఆ షర్ట్ ఏంది, ఆ ప్యాంట్ ఏంది, ఆ బూట్లు ఏంది అన్నాను అనుకోండి. అప్పుడు ఏమంటావు? సరే కరెక్ట్ ఏంటో చెప్పు అంటావు కదా. When I criticize somebody, I need to provide a solution to the problem. And if I say the government has failed in increasing growth rates in the economy in the last 2.5 or 3 years, we need to write what are the measures that need to be taken by the government to revive growth. Do not stop by criticizing somebody. That makes your content look like a pessimistic content. Therefore, always you need to have that constructive criticism in mind. Okay? ఏం రాసినా కానీ మనం దానికి ఒక పర్పస్ ఉంటుంది ఎగ్జామ్లో. Don't keep on criticizing the government. KCR failed, Modi failed. Don't use that. There are failures. We need to highlight the failures. But whenever you are highlighting failures, provide measures and solutions to overcome that. That is what is expected from administrators. In the Japan example, some groups are fighting with lethal weapons and you are a DSP. What do? You send the force, you don't go? Safe game. Very good. Anyways, right answer. That is how you try to handle the situation. Therefore, in this case, don't criticize and leave the answer then and there itself. You criticize the government and then provide solutions. Okay? Then, apart from this, examples, case studies, etc. should be used based on the context. Facts, flowcharts, diagrams, etc. use them meaningfully. That means some people have got very good memory power, unlike me. You can memorize, you can remember a lot of data. But because that is your advantage, don't dump data in your essay writing. Settle down, kuchama. Don't dump data in your answers, even your GS answers or essay writing. Why? Examiner is not expecting huge data without content. For example, how many of you like double cometa? తిండి తిన్నట్టే మాట్లాడుతున్నారా? You like it. If it is oversweet, yuck antam kada. The reason being, there is a saying in Sanskrit, sarvatra ati varjyat, ante ati cheyakudadu basic ga. So when you know huge data, don't dump it. Use it meaningfully based on the context. And the flowcharts and diagrams are like value addition. What do you mean by flowchart and diagram? I'll explain with an example once we're done with this basic discussion. And then, very important part, structure of essay. How many parts we have in an essay writing? 3 parts. First one is intro. What do you mean by introduction? Introduction should be very meaningful. In introduction itself, you need to make what is your stand to the examiner. Just explain what do you think about the theme or the question or the topic to the examiner. And introduction must create interest in the minds of examiner. It must be very engaging. మీకు బాగా అర్థమయ్యేలా చెప్పాలంటే ట్రిపుల్ ఆర్ సినిమా చూసుంటారు కదా. వాట్ వాజ్ ద వే ఇన్ విచ్ రామ్ చరణ్ వాజ్ ఇంట్రడ్యూస్డ్? ఫైర్. ఫ్యాన్స్ ఏం చెప్తారు? గూస్ బంప్స్ వచ్చినాయట చూస్తే. ఎగ్జామినర్ షుడ్ గెట్ గూస్ బంప్స్ వెన్ హీ రీడ్స్ యువర్ ఇంట్రడక్షన్. ఎందుకో చెప్తా. ఇఫ్ ఇంట్రడక్షన్ ఈస్ వెరీ వెరీ lethargic and very disinteresting, examiner will lose the interest in reading body and conclusion. ఇంట్రడక్షన్ సరిగా రాయకపోతే ఏం చదువుతాంలే అని ఒక నీరసం వస్తుంది. I think most of you read Hindu newspaper editorials, articles, etc. First 1 or 2 paragraphs గనక మరీ బోరింగ్ గా ఉంటే చదివిన తర్వాత generally we don't like to read. Therefore, how to make examiner read entire essay written by you? అతన్ని మీ essay మొత్తం చదివించాలి. ఏం చేయాలి? Engage him. How do you engage him? With a very good introduction. Introduction should be like introduction of a movie star in a movie, particularly Telugu movie. ఇట్లా అంటే 10 మంది వెనక్కి వెళ్ళాలా, ఇట్లా అంటే కారు వెనక్కి వెళ్ళిపోవాలా, లేదు ఇట్లా అంటే ట్రైన్ వెనక్కి వెళ్ళిపోవాలి. That kind of bang should be given in introduction. And this is a place where you reveal your stand to examiner. Say for example, if I say new woman in India is a myth. Myth ante ottide abaddam ani. If you think that it is a myth, give that stand in the introduction itself to the examiner. Ikkade cheppandi adi. Then examiner will look for how good you have substantiated the stand. Substantiate ante that is supporting the answer right up. Here I said new woman in India is a myth ante adi abaddam ani cheppa. Then examiner will look for those points, those paragraphs, those dimensions which prove my stand. Whatever you reveal, whatever you say to the examiner introduction, it should be validated, authenticated and convinced in the body part. ఇక్కడ ఏదైతే చెప్పామో దాన్ని సపోర్ట్ చేస్తే బాడీ ఉండాలి. Okay? Now, in what ways introduction can be written in the examination? There are many ways. Somebody may be having this quality of writing very good quotes, right? Whenever you are writing answer or essay with a quotation, if it is self-explanatory, you don't have to explain it. If it is not self-explanatory, like something called a Sanskrit quote, not every examiner is well versed in Sanskrit. Therefore, you need to explain the quote in 2 lines. Again, don't take a paragraph to explain the quotation. It is boring. So if you start your essay with a quotation, for example, in this context, give any quotation. Adedo undi kada. Adene, what was that quote in Sanskrit? Yatra naryante pujyante. Very good. ఇప్పుడు నాలుగోళ్ళకి యత్ర తత్ర అర్థం కాదు. ఏం చేయాలి అప్పుడు? Within the brackets, give the English translation. What do you mean by this quotation? In that quotation, it says women are given a lot of importance in our society, right? Antena dan ardham? Okay. When I'm writing that quotation, what I'm trying to do? Am I saying that it is a myth? No. I'm saying that it can be possibility in India. Then, if you begin your essay with a quotation, remember, end the essay with another quote. Essay quotation to start cheste quotation to end cheyandi. Now another method of introduction, anecdote. Anecdote means a short story. What is a short story? How many of you have tried short story till date? Everybody has done this. Chappatla meer siggupadtunaru, and they are very good. They are girls. Why? When your mom or dad asks you ఎందుకు లేట్ అయింది కాలేజ్ నుంచి, వాట్ యు సే? విదిన్ 10 seconds you cook up a story. ఒక అద్భుతమైన కథ అల్లుతారు అప్పుడే, and that is very convincing, right? చెప్పలే ఇప్పుడు అట్లా కన్విన్సింగ్ స్టోరీస్, that is called anecdote. So use your skill of convincing others by creating a short story which is relevant to the theme of the question and convince the examiner. This generates a lot of interest. If it is your strength, write the essay with an anecdote. Start it with an anecdote. If quotations are your strength, start with quotation. ఇలాగే రాయాలి అని అమరు లేదు. There is no such hard fast rule about how to begin an essay. You can begin it in any form. Whichever is your strength, whichever is your comfort zone, adopt that. Then somebody may use some statistics. The other day they have seen newspaper in which gender inequality index was published, and within that India is not doing well. So you can start with the statistics. Recently, gender inequality index was released and India is performing very poorly. This reflects the state of women in India. So using statistics, you can introduce the essay, or you can define the concept. What do you mean by definition in this case? Woman definition చెప్పాలా? Or we should define what is myth. Right. We should define what is new woman. According to you, what constitutes new woman should be the definition part. Start with the definition. Then you can start with the historical background of the topic. How do you start with the historical background? In this case, we are referring to new woman. What happened in ancient India? What was the status of women? On par with men, or women were discriminated? Discriminated? Post-Vedic, status of women deteriorated. Before that, let us consider IVC. What was the status of women? On par with men. That means initially women got equal opportunity, equal role in the society. The status was equal on par with men. Then it deteriorated. Today it is further deteriorating. Therefore, you can use the historical background to start the essay. These are certain methods of starting an essay. Next, what should be the method of writing content in body? How do you write body? Body is the time and space where you got only one golden opportunity to do something that is called convincing examiner. Why? In the introduction, you have taken a stand. మీ opinion ఏందో introduction చెప్పేశారు. Now, this is the place and time to convince the examiner that the stand taken by you in introduction is appropriate. Introduction లో ఏదైతే స్టాండ్ తీసుకున్నారో అది కరెక్ట్ అని ఇక్కడ చెప్పి కన్విన్స్ చేయాలి ఎగ్జామినర్ ని. Now, how do you do this? The best solution to write a very good body is you recollect whatever general studies syllabus you read for the examination. And in this case, first one is you can use sectoral dimensions as a method. Sectoral dimensions. What do you mean by sectoral dimensions? Social dimension, economic, next, political dimension, environmental dimension, legal dimension, technical dimension, cultural dimension. Likewise, you got several dimensions to look into about the issue. For example, socially, women are looked down. As far as economy is concerned, I'll give you 2 points here. I mean, there are many. For the time being, just to make you understand. Gender inequality in pay. That means for same work done by women, they are paid less on par with men. And there is something called glass ceiling effect. What is glass ceiling effect? Women are not given higher positions because of their gender. Companies believe that, firms believe that women are incapable to handle higher positions and the pressures that come with those higher positions. ఎంతమంది chief secretaries ఉన్నారు, ఎంతమంది DGP ఉన్నారు, females? Why they are not given? So that is another dimension as far as academics is concerned. Politics, representation of women in local bodies, state legislatures, Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha, and governor, president. Environmental, impact of environment is directly proportional to status of women in India. Women has to travel long to fetch water for consumption of drinking purpose, household activities, everything. Legal dimension, though we got legislations like Domestic Violence Act, still violence against women is increasing. So likewise, you can touch upon several dimensions. Then institutional dimensions. What are institutional dimensions here? There are three major institutions in India. What are they? Separation of powers, గుర్తు తెచ్చుకోండి పాలిటీ నుంచి. Judiciary, executive, legislature. Judiciary, executive, legislature. Then add few things. Media, the most menacing thing in India as of now. Okay, so these are certain institutional dimensions as far as the topic is concerned. That means, what are the judgments that made status of women equal on par with men? There might be some judgments, there might be some executive decisions or programs implemented, there might be some legislations made for women welfare, and media, role played by media. And whenever a rape happens or a molestation attempt happens, you know how media behaves, right? Until makeup వేసుకొని 7 గంటలు టీవీ ముందుకు వస్తారు. వాట్ డు దే డు? అమ్మాయి డ్రెస్ వల్లేనండి ఇదంతా, చిట్టి చిట్టి డ్రెస్సులు వేసుకుంటుంది, రేప్ చేస్తున్నారు. That means how media is influencing the role and status of new women. It could be a dimension. Then you can add other dimensions like religion, class, caste, ethnicity, art, music, language, dance, etc. That means all these dimensions can be used to understand the state and status of women in India. So this is about body. Then come to another conclusion. So you feel like writing. What do you call that? Way forward is a pre-conclusion. So till conclusion, you have identified several challenges, several problems. For all those challenges and problems, solutions must be given in the pre-conclusion. Then how to make this pre-conclusion a meaningful and readable conclusion? First one, you could adopt short-term measures, medium-term measures, long-term measures. Measures for what? There was a problem identified in the introduction. What was that? Status of women. Then you can add some other things in pre-conclusion itself. What are they? Institutional measures, infrastructural measures, implementational measures, attitudinal measures. Now, what do you mean by attitudinal measure as far as this new woman in India is a myth topic is concerned? Why there is discrimination in India? We use this word very frequently. It starts with P. Patriarchy. What is patriarchy? It is an attitude, right? Therefore, suggest something to let go the attitude called patriarchy in the pre-conclusion. Therefore, this should be your pre-conclusion. Pre-conclusion is nothing but the measures you are going to write to overcome the problem or challenge identified in the introduction. Then, what is a conclusion? Conclusion should be always futuristic, visionary. That means whatever you have discussed till here, ఒక ప్రాబ్లం ఐడెంటిఫై చేసాం, డైమెన్షన్స్ ఎక్స్ప్లెయిన్ చేసాం బాడీలో, ప్రీ కంక్లూజన్ లో ఆ ప్రాబ్లం ఓవర్కమ్ చేయడానికి ఏం మెజర్స్ తీసుకోవాలో రాసాం కదా. మరి కంక్లూజన్ ఏం రాయాలి? కంక్లూజన్ షుడ్ బి అరౌండ్ 50 words. ఇవన్నీ జరిగినాయి అనుకోండి కాసేపు, ఈ మెజర్స్ అన్ని ఇక్కడ ఏదైతే రాసామో, వాట్ ఎవర్ మెజర్స్ రిటర్న్ ఇన్ ప్రీ కంక్లూజన్, ఇఫ్ దే ఆర్ ఇంప్లిమెంటెడ్, దెన్ వాట్ విల్ హ్యాపెన్ టు ఉమెన్ ఇన్ ఇండియా? బెటర్ గా ఉంటుందా? వాళ్ళ స్టేటస్ బెటర్ గా ఉంటుందా? ఆ ఎలా బెటర్ గా ఉంటుంది అనేది ఊహించి రాయటం కంక్లూజన్. కంక్లూజన్ షుడ్ బి ఆల్వేస్ ఆప్టిమిస్టిక్, ఫ్యూచరిస్టిక్ అండ్ విజనరీ. ఆప్టిమిజం అంటే ఇప్పుడు ఇదంతా జరిగింది, ఉమెన్ స్టేటస్ బాగా ఇంప్రూవ్ అయింది, నో వైలెన్స్ అగేన్స్ట్ ఉమెన్, దెర్ ఈస్ అబ్సల్యూట్ జెండర్ ఈక్వాలిటీ, ప్యారిటీ, దెన్ డోంట్ యు థింక్ దట్ ద ప్లేస్, ద కంట్రీ వుడ్ బి ద బెటర్ ప్లేస్ టు లివ్? Home is the best place to live, and it adds more contribution to GDP, and women play an important role in shaping the characters of individuals through a process called enculturation. Likewise, idantha zarigite enta baaguntundi, oka 50 words, end it on a positive note. Women status beragadu, inka veellu inte roju rojuki naashanam atla raayakudadu. And as I said, what is the last thing we do when you go to any lunch or dinner? Somebody said ice cream, dessert, double ka meeta, final ga pan. Okay, example చెప్తా. మంచి దమ్కి బిర్యానీ తిన్నాం, మటన్ బిర్యానీ విత్ పాయా, చికెన్ ఫ్రై, ఫిష్, ప్రాన్స్, ఎవ్రీథింగ్. ఐస్ క్రీమ్ బ్యాడ్ గా ఉంది. When you come out, what kind of feeling prevails in your mind? ఇక్కడే ఉంటుంది, ఏ బాలేదురా, అప్పుడు దాకా బేసిన్ బిర్యానీ తిన్నారు కదా, బాగానే తిన్నారు కదా, అది కనపడదు, అది గుర్తుండదు. ఇట్ డజంట్ క్యారీ. ఏం గుర్తుంటుంది మనకి? దట్ లాస్ట్ థింగ్. భోజనం సరిగా లేదు, మంచి ఐస్ క్రీమ్ పెట్టారు, లేదు ఒక మంచి పాన్ వేశారు, ఓ నైస్ ఫీలింగ్ ఉంటుంది కదా, రైట్? కంక్లూజన్ ఈజ్ లైక్ దాట్. ఎగ్జామినర్ విల్ గివ్ యూ మార్క్స్ ఆఫ్టర్ రీడింగ్ కంక్లూజన్ కదా. ఇది హై ఇచ్చింది అనుకోండి, లైక్ నైస్ పాన్ ఆర్ స్వీట్ ఆర్ ఐస్ క్రీమ్ లాగా, మీ ఎస్ఏకి 30 వేద్దాం అనుకున్నాడు, ఆ హై వస్తుంది. ఏదైనా లాస్ట్ లో కొంచెం పాజిటివ్ గా షుగర్ కోటింగ్ వేసి ఎండ్ చేయాలి. దిస్ ఈజ్ అబౌట్ ది ఆర్ట్ ఆఫ్ ఆన్సర్ రైటింగ్. ఐ టేక్ సమ్ క్వశ్చన్స్. ఎనీ క్వశ్చన్స్? Pre-conclusion, some 200 to 300. Introduction, 100. Remaining body. I think you are supposed to write 1000 words, right, for each essay? Very good. So, any other questions?
While I speaking comprehension part, is something how we understand it, how well we receive it.
How good you understand your topic and how you're presenting it.
It's concerned with presentation.
No, yes, it is concerned with presentation, and it basically depends on your English language skills. ఒకటి ఎట్లా అర్థం చేసుకుంటాం చెప్పండి, మనకు అర్థం అవ్వాలి కదా సర్టెన్ వర్డ్స్ అవి ఇవి. డోంట్ వరీ, ఇవాళ నుంచి వర్క్ చేయండి. యూ గాట్ లాట్ ఆఫ్ టైమ్. వెన్ ఈస్ యూర్ మెయిన్స్ ఎగ్జామ్? జూన్, రైట్? దిస్ ఈస్ జాన్. ట్రస్ట్ మీ, లాస్ట్ బ్యాచ్ ఇట్లే we have conducted the same program. Some students have got same doubts, but after 1 month of answer writing and listening to the faculty when we discuss every day the questions we give, they felt very comfortable, and surprisingly, very surprisingly, lot of difference from their first day's answer to the 30th day answer. వాళ్ళ ఇంప్రూవ్మెంట్ వాళ్ళే నమ్మలేకపోయారు. ఎవరు గొప్పది? వాళ్ళ గొప్పే. వీఆర్ హియర్ టు గైడ్ యూ. ఇఫ్ యూ ప్రాక్టీస్ రెగ్యులర్లీ, వాళ్ళు రోజు రాశారు అనుకోండి, 30 days 30 answers. Trust me, there will be a lot of difference from the first answer to the 30th answer. Writing skill can be mastered only through practice. Whether it is essay or GS answer, whatever it is, you need to practice. You need to write 3 to 4 answers every day. అట్లా కాదు ఇప్పుడేం రాయని పడుకుంటాను ఎగ్జామ్ ఎరగదీస్తానంటే పేపర్ ఎరగదీస్తుంది మనల్ని. You got experience with this prelims paper, right? Most of the students fail to bubble some questions. మీ ఫ్రెండ్స్ ఉంటారు కదా, సి ఏ బాయ్ నెగిటివ్ మార్కింగ్ లేదు. వాట్ డస్ కామన్ సెన్స్ సే? అన్ని బబుల్ చేస్తే 2 మార్కులు వస్తాయి కదా, అవి కూడా ఎందుకు చేయలేకపోయారు? యూ డిడ్ నాట్ ప్రాక్టీస్ ఇట్ హియర్. సేమ్ థింగ్ విల్ హ్యాపన్ ఇఫ్ యూ డోంట్ ప్రాక్టీస్ ఆన్సర్ రైటింగ్. సో ఎనీ అదర్ క్వశ్చన్స్? అమ్మ ఒక టెస్ట్ లో 4 క్వశ్చన్లు 5 క్వశ్చన్లు లేదా 3 క్వశ్చన్లు 2 క్వశ్చన్లు అని అనుకోండి, అవి 40 క్వశ్చన్స్ అవుతాయి కదా. 40 టెస్ట్లు అంటే 2 క్వశ్చన్లు వేసాం అనుకోండి టెస్ట్ లో 80 క్వశ్చన్లు అవుతాయి కదా. అక్కడ ఏముంది 40 టెస్ట్ అని ఉందా 40 క్వశ్చన్స్ అని ఉందా? ఎస్ఎస్ అంటే 40 క్వశ్చన్స్ కదా. 40 tests is impossible, literally, humanly impossible. Don't worry, everything will be covered in those 40 అంటే చాలా పెద్ద నంబర్ అమ్మా. 40 మీన్స్ ఉన్నాయి.
ఎగ్జామ్ రాస్తామా లేదంటే 40 టాపిక్స్ డిస్కస్ చేసుకుంటామా?
డిస్కస్ చేసిన తర్వాత దాంట్లో బ్రాకెట్స్ లో ఒకటి ఉందమ్మా, అది చదవట్లేదు. బ్రాకెట్ లో చూడు లేదా includes అంటే నేను ఇచ్చిన 40 ఎక్సెస్ లో మీకు 2 ఎగ్జామ్ కూడా పెడతా. I told you 40 is the minimum number. Okay, it may go depending on the kind. Look here, we are not stopping you. We are giving you the minimum. The minimum is 40 essay, the minimum is 820 that way. On the need base, imagine if we want to interact more answers or more questions, we will leave it. I told you, since we are the people who have written this examination, we are coming from there to here. We know the difficulties, the obstacles which you people face at each and every, the way you are walking at each and every turn. Okay. So we know what are the difficulties in each and every subject, because by default, all of us, though we are teaching respective subjects, all those people, they have gone through this examination. Okay. So we know, okay, where we have to hand out and where we have to guide you.
Okay, any other question? Current affairs kada, sorry, marchipaya. How many months of current affairs need to be prepared for exam? Mains.
Okay.
Generally 1 year, but any path-breaking program given by the government or any major incident happened within India, whether it is economy or society or polity or anything. So 12 to 18 months. 18 to ఒకసారి glance చేయండి, important to pick చేసుకోండి, but for the last 12 months you need to be very thorough with the current affairs. Anything else? Okay, chalo. Polity sir will take over. He's an expert in polity and IR, and he'll tell you how to write polity answers in exam.
Hello, sir. Sorry, you're not audible to us.
Practice is always very, very important. So if you have to write around 200 to 50 words, so here you can't afford to have a proper introduction, proper body, a proper conclusion like that, because you have to write so many answers in this particular paper. So what you have to do is you better start many of the answers as far as possible with a quotation. With a quotation will take care of your introduction. That means you are putting it in somebody's mouth. So if they have given some question regarding secularism, they have given some question regarding woman empowerment, you can use the quotation of what the Prime Minister said, or what a great thinker said, or what the Supreme Court has made an observation. Or if you are writing about free speech, then you can write a quotation given by the Chief Justice of India, who said that right to dissent is the safety valve of democracy. So like that, you are starting your answer with the quotation of a familiar person who has done something great in his field. It could be our Prime Minister, it could be our Chief Justice, it could be one famous lawyer, it could be one eminent political thinker, or anybody else. So if you are able to put that, or even you may not even know the exact wording of the quotation. You may say, so and so thinker said like this. That means your quotation is not exactly the word, but you are saying the opinion of that person by putting in his name. So that is how you have to start. Otherwise, introduction may become a little bit difficult. Or then, if this is not available, then you can start by describing an incident, describing a case, or by describing an article. So in your polity paper, as far as possible, quotation should be there. But always it is not possible. Always you can't remember the quotation. So you have to include the court cases. Because most of the questions, what I am expecting will be coming from the latest aspects, current affairs aspects. So court cases you can cite, or you can write about an incident which had occurred, and you have to include article numbers as far as possible. When you are writing about free speech, if your question is not having article 19(1)(a), you will not get marks, because that is a basic aspect. If you are writing about liberty, you are not having number 21, you may not get good marks. So these are the minimum aspects. I'm not talking about these minimum article numbers. You have to include, you have to write more number of articles also, as far as possible. Preferably, because you are now having a lot of time, try to learn all the articles from 12 to 51A, almost all the articles, and also important articles. Wherever they are important, like 326, 324, 141, these type of articles, 108, 164, because they may ask you about governor and the powers also. So these type of articles, that means around 50 to 70 articles. Try to remember the numbers, and if you pepper your answer script with those articles, court cases, quotations, don't you get marks? So these must be included. Come what may, you must practice your answers in that manner. And then you have to write the pros and cons. That is advantages and disadvantages. Advantages and disadvantages regarding a particular issue. Then after that, you have to give a conclusion. You may not write a conclusion like that, but you might just say way forward. And as your last sir was saying, it must be an optimistic thing, not a pessimistic thing. It must be encouraging. That because the power that we are being given is anything is possible if you try. So here you must include those things here. So first, as far as possible, quotation. Quotation doesn't mean just not like writing a poem, just not writing every word. Quotation means you can just refer a particular person and then write that. Then you have to write about cases. Then incidents, examples are there. Then you can write about article numbers. Then you have to write the pros and cons. So it will be more than 200 words. So this should be there. This should you should see that or ensure that these points are there in that particular answer. So that is how you can have a value addition to your answer, and you can show the difference between another answer script and your answer script. So these points must be there. So now I'll just go through what are the important areas that you may get questions from. Like a few days back, the belief was that there is a section-wise choice. So if you are if you can afford to leave a few questions here and there, but that is not there now because there are 2 compulsory questions are there. So you must read more. There is no escape from that. You must read more. So that means you must read at least 2 questions. You must be getting them. So as far as possible, try to read more aspects. Like in test series, we'll be covering around 55 questions from polity itself, which should be more than enough. But after looking at the question papers that we are getting, we are not able to say this is important, this is very, very important. But we can say everything is important. So you must try to cover as many things as possible, but follow this format. Like for example, in the first chapter, that is about the constitution and about preamble. So what type of questions you may get from the recent happenings in this? What type of questions you may get from the Constituent Assembly or from this? Recently, the Supreme Court bench was saying that we were always talking about Ambedkar, Nehru, Rajendra Prasad and all these people, but we are ignoring our women who participated in the making of the Constitution, and they have given excellent speeches, and they have participated or they have contributed a lot to the making of the Constitution. Similar question was asked in your prelims also. That is because Prime Minister made a mention. And now Supreme Court had made a mention, I think around 2 weeks back, I think. So they may ask you about the woman's contribution in Constituent Assembly, or they may ask you about what he was talking about, woman empowerment also. Woman empowerment, or they may ask you, are we able to achieve the ideals of the constitutional makers to achieve equality between men and women? So the fact here is all men like women, but they don't want women to be on top. So they don't want to give women equal status. So these points on these areas, you may get a question from this part itself. So women's empowerment or women's this thing is not at all mentioned here. But they may ask a question regarding women here because of the discussions that have been happening, because of the debates that have been happening around women. Then preamble. Now, a few days later, we will celebrate our 73rd Republic Day. So they may ask that in the preamble, we have these ideals. Ideals like socialist is there. So they may ask a question regarding socialist. Why? Why they may ask a question regarding socialist? Why? Because last year there was a debate in Parliament. One BJP member tried to introduce a bill, private member's bill in Rajya Sabha, to replace the word socialist, because we were no more a socialist. That was his opinion. So they may ask you, should we remove the term socialist? Are we moving away from the socialistic ideals? On the basis of the pattern that they have given in the prelims, I am saying this type of questions may be asked. Then you should not be caught off guard. So you should be prepared for all these things on the basis of what was happening in your recent past. Or they may ask you about secularism. There is a debate about secularism because the secularistic ideals of the constitution or of what was mentioned in the preamble is facing a serious test. Now, in many churches and many mosques, they are praying that God give us the mind, give the mind to the rulers so that they will stick to the ideals of the constitution. Who are the rulers? Prime Minister, and give them the mind to stick to the ideals of the constitution, which means the churches and mosques are convinced that the rulers are straying away. What was the ideal they were worried about? Secularism. So there is every likelihood you may get a question on secularism. Every likelihood in your essay paper or in your polity paper. So what type of secularism we are having in India? It is not the secularism that is followed in Europe, where the state and religion are separate. Here state and religion are not separate. We are following the ideal of Sarva Mata. What is that? Sarva Dharma Sambhava. Means all the parts of religions is the same. All the parts of religions is the same. That is the ideal which was followed from Ashoka to Akbar, from Gokhale to Gandhi. Same ideal was followed. Our ideal of secularism is tolerance, tolerating all the religions, not complaining when some namaz is being read 5 times a day. How many minutes? 5 times a day means 5 minutes only. No? So you are not able to bear that 5 minutes, but you want to wake them up at midnight when you are celebrating Ganesh festival by beating the drums. So you have to tolerate. So this type of secularism is taught to us by Mahatma Gandhi. So our secularism is including the religion, not excluding the religion. So that type of questions may be asked even from this first part itself, rather than the basic aspects. Then about liberty also. Liberty is mentioned in Article 21. So don't think that it will be asked only in section 2. Here also it may be asked, because in preamble the word liberty is already there. I mean, it was there, liberty, that concept. So what type of liberty we are having now? Has our liberty being widened or it is being crunched? Or it is being restricted? So our liberty is, we are actually becoming more and more liberal. So in this part, they may ask a question on liberty. In section 2, they may ask a question on liberty because fundamental rights are there. In judiciary also, they may ask a question on liberty. Why? Because Supreme Court Collegium is recommending or reiterating again and again that the first gay judge has to be appointed as the judge of Delhi High Court. Yesterday only, no? The news or day before yesterday. So that means we are becoming more and more open. Like a few years back, we accepted that they can live with us. They have the same. We decriminalized Section 377, which means we are accepting that gays and also can also live. And in Hyderabad, the first gay marriage happened. All the Bindi ceremony, other ceremonies took place in Hyderabad, and 2 men got married amid much fanfare. So the society is opening up. So this is also, judiciary also is opening up. So a question on liberty may be asked in judiciary also. Different dimension of liberty. Like 20-30 years back, if there was a love marriage in a family, everybody used to accuse the family. What type of upbringing is this? Boy went and married, or girl went away from home and married some person. They should have listened to the parents. That was our upbringing. Like even after marriage, if the girl complains that this fellow is harassing me, they'll say, wait, pray till 60 years. After that, he will change. Then what will you do with that person after 60, 70 years? So we are moving away from that. And now, if somebody is marrying through an arranged marriage, they're saying, "Arey, useless fellow, doesn't know how to select his wife also." So our liberty is widening, but there is still a long way to go. So here they may ask you about this, but now like somebody is saying, they may ask you that your liberty is being restricted also. They are telling you don't eat non-veg in Dasara days. In Delhi, they close so many mutton shops also. So don't eat this kind of food, don't eat that kind of food. They are saying, and don't kill animals, but kill trees. Trees also have life now. Indian scientists only proved that. So they are restricting our choice of food. So these kind of things may be asked in the exams. So like that, you have to look for connecting with latest aspects as well as basic aspects also. Basic part also they may ask you the questions. Like they may most expectations are around that they may ask questions regarding hate speech. What is hate speech? Is it part of Article 19(1)(a) or is it part of our liberty? They may ask you about 124(a). What is 124(a)? Sedition Act. They may ask you about about Sedition Act, about hate speech, about social media also. You may get an essay question on social media. Day before yesterday, the government had restricted or government had stopped BBC documentary on Modi, which many believe is the truth only. Everybody knows that is the truth. But we accepted that. We accepted that. And we had voted him for 2 times. Third time also he is hands down is going to win the election. This time the competition is not between Rahul Gandhi and Modi. Competition is between Rahul Gandhi and Lord Ram. Because they are constructing the Ram temple. By the time we go to the polling booth, Rahul Gandhi will be on one side and Ram will be on the other side. Because next January they are going to arrange buses from here to Ayodhya. Everybody go there, come back and vote. So that is the scenario that is changing in the country. Or they may ask you about whether the majoritarian type of government or majoritarianism is affecting the spirit of democracy. Majoritarianism is affecting the spirit of democracy. So that means the minorities are forced to listen to the majority. Is it democracy? What do you mean by democracy? Democracy means everybody's opinion should be respected. People should rule themselves, not somebody else ruling the people. Here, majority is ruling the minority, and majority opinion is prevailing. So that question they may ask. So prepare for that also, because that is what is happening. So democratic thinkers, what they say is, if 1 lakh people are there, almost everybody are having one opinion, and one person is having a different opinion, you must respect that one person also and listen to his opinion. That one person may be proved right and the other persons may prove wrong. Did it happen anytime? That one person was right and everybody else were wrong? Had it happened? Was there any example? Galileo. What Galileo said was earth is not spherical as it is, earth is not squarish as it is written in your biblical texts or Puranas. Earth is spherical. People went to kill him. Are you are talking against God? Later, what happened? Galileo proved to be right. So like that. So this type of questions may be asked because they are trying to they are trying to make it as tough as possible. Question papers are not as easy. Earlier means we can say read fundamental rights, right to equality, you may get a question, or right to freedom, you may get a question, right to religion, you may get a question. But these type of questions have completely disappeared from the exam paper. So certain questions which look for your inquisitiveness, certain questions which demand your understanding of the subject. Another thing is you must write according to the question. It is not like in your 10th standard or intermediate they'll say first you write one good point, last two you write good points, in the middle you do whatever you want. But write neatly, you will get marks, they'll say. That is not going to happen here. So if you beat around the bush, you will be dropped in the bush only. So that is not going to work here. So you must write properly. So the best method here is that there is no restrictions on side headings. So as many side headings as possible. Try to keep them, or write in the point format 1, 2, 3, 4 like that, because here you are having only 200 words to write. So best way is write in the point format, point 1, point 2, point 3, or side headings, or 2 or 3 side headings like advantages, disadvantages, and in the advantages 5 advantages, disadvantages another 5 disadvantages, like that. So, and always the last 2 or 3 lines of conclusion should be positive. As far as possible, they should be positive. And but if you are writing, if you are taking one direction, then write only one side heading with so many of these things. So like that, you must follow this format. And you may also get a question like right to be forgotten. Right to be forgotten. What do you mean by right to be forgotten? What do you mean by right to be forgotten? They may ask you a question. Is right to be forgotten a part of right to privacy? Or is right to be forgotten also, or is right to privacy also includes right to be forgotten? Have you heard about this right to be forgotten anywhere? And how many points you have to write about this right to be forgotten? It is not there in Lakshmikant. It is not there in many of the materials, but it may will be there in your question paper. So how to write these kind of things? This was discussed in newspapers. And actually, what do you mean by this? Right to be forgotten means you are asking the authorities to remove your details from the public domain, so that your Aadhaar card number, your date of birth, and your family members' details, everything must be removed from public domain. So is that a right? Is that a fundamental right? So to write this particular question, first you must write what is right to be forgotten. You must describe it. Then you must write what is the difference between right to be forgotten and right to privacy. What is the difference? Right to privacy means not having any data at all. So I will not give the data. Right to be forgotten means you are already data is there. You are trying to remove that data. So like this, you must write the difference. And then what is the advantage of right to be forgotten? So you may by having this right, if this is a fundamental right, you may say that so and so kind of information should be removed from public domain. So and so information should not be telecast. There was a popular politician called Amar Singh. Amar Singh was a union minister and a close friend of Mulayam Singh Yadav and one of the founder members of SP, that is Samajwadi Party. So somebody tried to leak a conversation between Amar Singh and Bipasa Basu. Bipasa Basu is a Bollywood actress. Normal conversation, no problem. But that is an intimate conversation between those two. So Amar Singh went to court and asked that please help them or please help me so that that conversation will be forgotten. So that I will not get defamed. Does he have the right? The court stopped it. Otherwise, we could have heard some nice conversation between both of them. So is that a part of fundamental rights? So you should write what Delhi High Court has said in that. So it also happened in the last 1 year only. So that is why I'm telling that these kind of things, most of the questions in polity, what we are expecting is it will be according to the current affairs. Another thing, what is happening between the judiciary and the government, government is trying to apply pressure on the judiciary regarding appointment of the judges. So they may just ask you whether the appointment of the judges in Supreme Court, right or wrong, or they may ask you what is the debate, whether government is right or judiciary is right, or if the government is involving, whether it is affecting the independence of judiciary, because government is bringing pressure on judiciary. Here, government took all the agencies under its control, CBI is under its control, and income tax is under its. We know that one big allegation against the government is if anybody goes against the government, morning CBI will come, afternoon IT will come, evening ED will come, and your dinner will be in the jail. So that is what is happening. So then government is not able to control judiciary. Some judges are there who are towing the line of the government, but they want everybody. So they want the appointment also. So too much pressure is being put on the judiciary. And now last 2 or 3 days, the minister is saying that we will have one member in the coalition. So we won't control the appointment, but we'll have one member in the coalition. So one politician is enough to corrupt everything. So they want to have their member, they want to control. So if you apply too much pressure, then you will yield to give some concession. So if your parents are very strict, they are not sending you outside after 4 o'clock, and they are doing all sort of these things. Suddenly they'll give one concession, like you can go for a movie. You will feel very happy. Like that. That is after applying pressure, getting what they want. Here also government is following the same technique. So like that, these type of questions which are in public domain, which are in current affairs, these kind of questions may be asked. They may ask you about center-state relations, the role of the governor. So in Tamil Nadu, the governor was reluctant to use the word Tamil in his speech, and governor walked out. In Telangana, we are not even allowing the governor also. So many people are saying KCR is giving the right kind of treatment for this governor. So they may ask a question saying, how was it possible for KCR or Telangana government not to allow the governor, because as per the rules, governor should address the first meeting after a new year or first meeting after a election. Then how is it possible in Telangana? If they want to test you, they want to give a toughest question, they will give the question like this. How Telangana government is managing? By not allowing the governor to speak, address the house. That is because if the house gets adjourned sine die, the house gets adjourned sine die, then it has to be prorogued. That means adjourned sine die is done by the speaker, and they will send the file to the governor. Governor will prorogue it, and once the governor prorogates, only governor can assemble it again. So in Telangana, what they are saying? House was not prorogued. House is still adjourned. So House is not in the longer period of suspension. It's only a shorter period of suspension. So there is no need to invite the governor. HR is right. So he is not subverting the other. So that type of question also may be asked. And you have to write all these things, all these explanations in that. So like that. So be careful, be watchful about current affairs, and you select what type of questions may come. In the class itself, we have discussed about our kind of secularism, our kind of woman empowerment, then right to be forgotten, hate speech, sedition act, liberty, whether we have widened the scope of liberty, and what judicial appointments and all these things. So, and also the fiscal trouble between center and states. So that type, what are the recommendations of Sarkaria Commission regarding this, or Punchi Commission regarding this, or the recommendations of Sarkaria Commission regarding the role of the governor? Should governor be removed as an institution? This type of questions also may be asked. So if they ask this type of question, should governor be removed? You should not say yes, he has to be removed. Should not say that. So you must adopt a median path when these type of questions are asked. Should woman empowerment be there? Then you should not say no, it should not be there. One direction only. Woman empowerment should be there. That type of one direction questions. So like this, you must, this kind of things you will learn only if you read and write. And another thing is, all of you may be having some 70 or 80 question and answers with you regarding polity. If it is not there, gather it somewhere. Then from these 80 or 70 or 80 questions, you have to prepare a short notes. Short notes is like for each question, you should have minimum, not minimum, maximum 5 to 7 points, not more than 5 to 7 points for each question. So 50 questions, 50 into 7 points, 350 lines. So you have to prepare it on your own. Don't get it xeroxed. Having your own written notes is very, very advantageous. You should have your own notes. So from the main questions, you should have a small sub notes, small notes, where each question 5 to 7 points will be there. If you just write those 5 to 7 points itself, you will easily succeed in the exam. That means what I'm saying is, for every question you should have 5 to 7 points. So gather that points, prepare that notes, and just before going to exam, if you read those points, 100% you will succeed. So the thing is, you must first gather the material, then you must read that, then you must write tests, then you also should have a short notes. In the final, like after April or something, after in the month of March or in the month of April, you start preparing these small notes for every subject. That will be very, very beneficial if you read only those points also. But anyway, if you know those points, important points on any question, if you read, you know what are the important points. So if you know the important points, you can just write an answer. Well, so that is how. So in polity, you have to study the basic part. Without studying the basic part, you will not be coming here to write the exam, because you cleared your difficult exam. So you know the basic part. So now you have to connect it with the current aspect. And when the question is there, you have to stick to the question. You should not write whatever you know. That will unnecessarily irritate the examiner. Okay. So any doubts? You asked so many doubts to other two faculty. So hopefully there won't be any doubts. So Sudhi will come and he will discuss about economy thing.
Darkening glass. Is it audible? Yes, no? Yes? Okay. I'm Sai Gautam, right? So I would be handling this section of society and governance, right? I can understand that you people must be hungry, right? Don't worry. We'll try finishing it as quickly as possible. Now, when you look at this aspects of your syllabus, that is your society as well as governance, you have to understand yes. When you look at these aspects of society and governance, you definitely need to understand that both go in hand to hand. In the sense that when you look at your society syllabus, which is mentioned for this particular exam, you see that you have 5 chapters. Chapter 1, you fundamentally have the characters of India, that is, we have something called as salient features of Indian society. That is the first chapter. Because fundamentally you need to understand that for you to understand any society, you need to definitely understand what are the components of that particular society. And when you look at these components of particular society, you get to understand that Indian society is characterized with the trait called diversity. And when you have this trait called diversity that is present in this particular region, the first chapter fundamentally talks that what is creating that diversity. That diversity might be in the form of social institutions, or that diversity might be in the form of culture. And when you look at this diversity with respect to social institutions, it might be a caste, it might be a tribe, it might be a family, it might be a marriage, it might be a religion. And you see that every institution has its own diversity. Because in some systems, you see they follow certain aspects of marriage. In some systems, they follow certain matrilineal societies or patrilineal societies or ambilineal societies. Or in some aspects, you see that there is a whole lot of diversity that is existing in the tribal sections as well. And when you see this diversity being characterized either by a social institution or by culture, culture might be in the form of paintings, culture might be in the form of dance, cultures might be in the form of music, or it might be in the form of cuisine, or it might be in the form of languages that are existing. You find that this diversity is being spoken, this diversity is being evaluated, and this diversity is being examined in your first section, first chapter. Once you understand what is the composition, once you understand what is the diversity, once you understand what is the inherent setup of a particular society in India, then you see that one particular aspect comes up, that is your vulnerable sections. Because when you look at the setup of Indian society, we see that because of the prevalence of diversity that is existing with respect to the Indian society, there might be a majority or a minority culture. There might be a section which is majority and there might be a section which is minority, I mean in the sense that that kind of difference in the majority or minority might be because of their numerical strength. That numerical strength, because when you look at the demographic composition of India, you see that around 80% of Indians are Hindus. 14% with respect to Muslims, 2.3% with respect to Christians, and rest others are your Buddhists, Jains, and Parsis, and Sikhs. So what happens is you find that that might be because of the numerical preponderance of a one particular section. Or that might be with respect to the social preponderance of a one particular section. You see that first suppose you talk about scheduled caste and you talk about scheduled tribe, they are socially subjugated. They're socially oppressed, they're socially alienated, they're socially discriminated in this particular section of the society, and you see there is a social dominance over these individuals that creates a majority and minority. Not only that, because of this diversity being prevalent, because of this diversity coexisting as part and parcel of everybody's life, you see that this majority or minority or this kind of subjugation, this kind of discrimination, this kind of alienation can also exist because of gender, where you see women, where you see transgenders, right? Because these are also they are kind of subjugated, they're kind of discriminated. Now what happens is when you look at this whole of the society, there is one superior, there is another inferior candidate. And we see that this aspects of inferiority that is existing, that might be numerical, that might be social, that might be gender, that might be any other, that might be physiological. For suppose you talk about disabled sections, all those are classified as vulnerable sections. And unless and until you understand who is the or what is the composition of this vulnerable section, you cannot go for governance. Because when you look at the 5th chapter of your society as well as the other chapters of your governance, that is chapter 2, chapter 3, you see that governance mechanism is all centered around these sections. And when you look at your chapter 5 of society, it also talks about what the policies that are centered around scheduled caste, the policies that are centered around scheduled tribe, women, OBCs, all the sections. So you see that society and governance has an interlinkage. Because for you to govern a society, you need to understand the society. And for you to understand society, you need to understand the salient features, and you also need to understand the vulnerability element that is existing. And once you understand that there is vulnerability section that is existing, once you understand the salient features, the next thing that you would have to understand is what are the issues that are persisting. Because when you look at a detailed diagnosis of the concept of diversity, you definitely know that with diversity there is differences that are existing. With diversity there are conflicts that are existing. With diversity there are difference of opinions, with difference of obligations that are existing, difference of responsibilities that are existing. Now whenever you find such differences that are existing, whenever you find that non-uniformity that is existing in the society, you automatically see that social issues will emerge, which is your 3rd chapter, which talks about the issues regarding women, which talks about issues regarding child, which talks about agrarian distress, which talks about issues regarding population, which talks about issues regarding migration, all these aspects. And also towards the last line of your 3rd chapter, which talks about sustainable development. Because the solution for all of this, and the solution that the governance systems and the government setup or the policy framework is looking for, is somewhere converging at sustainable development. That is what is the last line of your 3rd chapter talks about. Now with this understanding of the Indian society, now when you miniaturize this understanding of Indian society to the region, that is your Telangana society. And your chapter 4 talks about the issues that are persisting with respect to Telangana society, where you see that it talks about Jogini system, it talks about Vetti system, it talks about child labor, it talks about child marriages, it talks about agrarian distress, it talks about the agricultural laborer distress. All these are existing in here, the Telangana region as an issue. And the relation why it talks about your 4th chapter will have A and B. And when you look at A, it talks about social issues. When you talk about B, it talks about social movements. Because for any kind of mobilization that happens in history, you observe that there is an issue. For example, if you talk about women movements, the discrimination or the gender stereotyping or the gender bias has created this force to move for women movements. You talk about caste-based movements, you talk about tribal movements, you talk about your Dalit consciousness movements, or you talk about the Dalit mobilizations that is happening. All these are driven out of what? The issues that that particular section is facing. And that is the fundamental reason why they talk about the movements in the B part of your 4th chapter, right? Now, once you understand Telangana society, once you understand the Indian society, at the end of the day, what we need to do? And at the end of the day, all of you are going to be administrators, group 1 officers. Yes? Yes or no? You have to believe, right? You have to pay some tax, belief tax, no? You have to believe, right? So you see that at the end of the day, your 5th chapter will culminate upon saying that how are we going to manage all of this? That is your 5th chapter. And your 5th chapter has a lot of relevance in the context of governance. Because what happens is, you realize that when this is a societal setup, which is characterized with diversity, one immediate thing that has to be brought in is I have to manage this diversity. Now, for me to manage this diversity, what I need a system. Don't you think so? If I don't manage diversity, you see issues like communalism erupting. You see issues like regionalism erupting. You see the mob lynching, the mob violence going on. That means you fundamentally find that in a region with diversity, I need a system to organize, I need a system to maintain an order in that particular region. And for you to create a system, that system is manifested in the form of your governance. Your governance, especially with respect to your institutional setups. For example, in your syllabus, they talk about your National Commission for SCs, STs, women, minority, all this. Right? They talk about an institutional setup, they talk about your Lokpal. Because at the end of the day, I know that I'm creating a system. And I know that the system is fundamentally to manage the differences, to manage the non-uniformity that is existing. Fine. But there has to be some check on the system which is created. Because I can't leave the system for their whims and fancies, for their the autonomy or for their independence to do whatever they wish like. So in order to create a check onto this governance system, they talk about your accountability measures, your RTI, citizen charter, social audit. I think your third chapter of your governance talks about all this, right? And to a certain extent, your fifth chapter, which fundamentally brings in an ethical perspective, which talks about public service delivery, which talks about values there that are imbibed. So that means that I need a system to govern, I need a system to maintain order, I need a system to manage these differences. Fine. That system I'm establishing through institutions. Not only through institutions, but I would also establish through certain administrative measures. Through certain administrative measures that might be in the form of policies, that might be in the form of legislations, that might be in the form of rules, that might be in the form of regulations. Right? So all of these are going to create what? All of these are going to create a system. Now, for me to ensure this transparency, for me to ensure the efficient functioning, for me to ensure these good governance principles, which are chapter 1 and chapter 2 of your governance fundamentally talks about good governance principles. For me to ensure that, I need to manage the system by itself and also from outside. So it talks about accountability measures which are internal, which are as well as external. Your chapter 5 with its ethical principles, which talks about internal accountability systems. The officers or the system which is functioning has to be accountable to themselves. They have to have an ethical framework which are managing their duties and obligations in a regulated manner. Unless and until they manage, from outside you cannot manage them. It's very simple, right? You see that most of you will complain, sir, I'm not consistent in studies. How much can we do? From outside, maximum will say, Arey Babu, study for 8 hours or 9 hours. After we tell, first day you study. You study in fact 11 hours. Bonus, motivation. Papa my namta cheptadu, chadukovali. 11 hours you study. Next day it comes to 8. Next day it comes to 6. Now what is a mess? I know that in the system I have an external accountability system. I'm telling that fellow is telling, oh, study. But what is MS? Internal accountability system. That is the fundamental reason why, as part of your governance syllabus, they have included ethics. Ethics in governance. Because what happens is when you look at the Indian administration, it is moving in a transition from principles of governance to good governance to ethical governance. How is that transition happening? How is that transition to be ensured in an organic manner is what is your syllabus talking about, right? These two are very easy sections, right? It's not that I'm teaching so they're easy, no, right? They are very easy sections for the reason that very limited subjects, limited topics. When you look at your governance syllabus, you find that all those 5 chapters will boil down to 3 chapters. Because the examiner who is setting the question paper will have to break their head to create questions out of it, right? Because you see that all of them will boil down to 3 chapters. Your society will boil down to 4 chapters. For the reason that your 5th chapter of your society can be clubbed with by studying governance systems. Please understand, right? So this is how the orientation of the syllabus is, right? If you want to ask something, most welcome. Right, it's open. I think from my side it's done, because anyway we would meet in the discussions of your question papers, right? I think question paper and the model answer will be set by the individual faculty, by me only, for society and governance. For others also, I think that is what is ensured. It is not that we outsource it for some content writer, but we do it on our own, right? So if you want to ask something, General doubts also most welcome. Chappan. No. Correction will have a correction team, evaluation team will be there. Evaluation team will be there, right? Any book that I suggest for these topics. See, one thing for society, I would suggest you to see Telugu Academy for the reason that it is very elaborate. Now, I would tell you, see, one simple suggestion I would give you is why not go for a frugal way of learning? What do you mean by frugal way of learning? Is that is one science principle where we shut down all unnecessary things. One way that you can do is you can learn these subjects through questions. Because I think at the end of the day, you would have around 55-60 questions for each of these sections. And it is humanly impossible for them to frame any question outside this. That is definite. So when you are planning to actually sit and prepare for this, I would suggest you to go for a question answer format, right? Because I think questions are given upfront before they will be given. Is that the system? Monday questions is so you will be given questions upfront, and when you have the questions given upfront, automatically you see that you prepare for those questions, right for your sectional. Finish your syllabus with those 55-60 questions. Do not run upon sources. Right? Some people will be publishing research documents on society and governance there, right? Because Vikas bookstore is wide open. Rendu shutterlu vetted. Okati saripotledu. Wide open, and for us anyway, we walk in, right? So do not focus more on these things. And for governance, if you want to refer, there is Lakshmikant for governance. And that is one elaborate source if you want to refer. Otherwise, go for a question answer format, right? I think use your Google well, right? Because most of them have a convergence with your UPSC syllabus. And if you have to look at the Telangana policies and stuff, you look at your socio-economic outlook. Yeah, because all of your fifth chapter of your society and some sections of your governance, you can directly derive your points and answers from socio-economic outlook. Right? Socio-economic outlook is a repository of information and it's a source of adding your marks. Please understand that. Right? Any other questions? I think all are comfortable with English or bilingual you wanted, no? English only? Okay. Right? So hope to see you in the classes. Right? All the best.
It is silent, pen drive bell. Quite minimize stand and I'm not quite compact. Board teachers. Board petition. Right. Okay. Right. That's it. Okay.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'll be dealing with S&T. Before I start, I just have a small question. What do you think is the difference between other subjects and S&T? Simple question. Scoring, okay?
More technical.
Current events related, okay, agreed? Okay. Can I tell you what is the main difference? People don't take this subject seriously until they've cleared the prelims. That's the biggest issue. Because normally the kind of questions I come across, the first one, sir, whatever you give topics, is it enough? Or should we read anything else? Okay, so I just want to make sure you're getting this idea very clearly. Right? So yeah, my name is Santosh. I've written UPSC mains 4 times. 2011, I've written Telangana exam also. Of course, that time it was combined, so that part. That time I've qualified for mains. I've written mains in that year, right? So when it comes to S&T, the first thing which you should understand, like you already said, it's mostly based upon current affairs, right? That part even I agree. Okay, but the thing is that though it is very much scoring, you should be very specific regarding your answers here. Because see, you can't have a generalized idea regarding this. Okay, if you know the topic, you know. If you don't know, you don't know. It's as simple as that. You can't go for guessing in S&T. Okay, the second thing, a lot of us, we don't practice the answer writing in S&T. That's the biggest issue people have. Because like I said, until you clear prelims, you will not take this subject seriously. Okay, so what you should have already started with answer writing, that does not happen. Okay, I'll tell you why answer writing is important here. Every other subject, whatever you want to write, there's a set pattern for it. Of course, the pattern differs from different questions. But for S&T, most of it is based upon facts. So here you have the freedom of writing the answer not in a conventional way, which is like paras and all of that. You can actually go for diagrammatic representations, you can go for tables. Okay, you can go for a lot of presentational content here. If you go through presentational content, you don't have to describe it further, because the diagram itself will tell you almost 40 to 50% of your content. The rest of it, you can easily cover it off. Okay, so S&T, that is the main difference you have with other subjects. This is one of the reasons why it is scoring. Because if you know the basics, if you know the facts correctly, you will get a maximum mark in this. Okay, and you have a separate paper for S&T. It's not like what we have with UPSC, where within that one paper you'll have 3 or 4 subjects clubbed together. Here you just have only 2 subjects. One is S&T, the other one is DI, data interpretation. Okay, so you have almost approximately, let's say 5 months. By the time if it is June, if the exam is getting connected at that time. So 5 months you have enough time to start practicing the answer writings. Okay, one other major question that comes with S&T is, what is the preparation mode? Where are we supposed to get it from? What are the sources? This is a very common question that is usually asked. Okay, I have tried to compile whatever I believe is important topics, but you should understand one thing. You are writing the test series now. You'll start with June, then you'll go till February. After that, again you write S&T in May. So there'll be a gap of those 2-3 months in between. And in that paper, I can only give you 10 questions. Right? S&T is basically divided into 2 sections. You know that very well. Okay, I'll be dealing with the first section. Right? So I'll be giving 10 questions from that one, which means per chapter, I can only give you 2 questions. But that 2 months, a lot of things may happen. Ideally, 2 months before the exam, that is when they'll start preparing questions.